I've just mentioned, the positioning of the 18-month trough on the in the second week of August of last year, which I think is probably a slightly flawed foundation for the analysis. But it is a possible analysis, and as we were looking at last week, if this was the analysis you believed was really unfolding, then of course you would have been making trading decisions on the basis of this analysis. And we plotted some FLDs, and we had a look at what those FLDs were doing on the basis of this analysis. So let's just complete that discussion and have a look at what happened to those FLDs, and see whether, if you were making trading decisions purely according to Hurst's trading methodology, let's see what might have happened, whether you might be in the market. And there are a few very important points that I want to make, and they sort of came to light, if you like, last week. I was asked last week, has your trading approach or have your trading decisions changed? And it occurred to me that maybe I haven't made it clear enough, over the months that we've been doing this. Perhaps I haven't made it clear enough that trading decisions are always the result of the analysis that you have in front of you. Okay. So we spoke a bit about that last week, and I'd like to just sort of reiterate it a little bit, of course, that the trading decisions that you make are based upon the analysis that has been performed. Okay, which is why I keep saying that everything you do when you're trading according to Hurst's cyclic principles, everything you do boils down to the analysis. And it's a very, very important point. If the analysis changes for any particular reason, and last week we discussed various reasons why the analysis might have changed, if the analysis changes, then your trading decisions change. Okay, but it is also very important to keep an eye on other possibilities, not get locked into one particular analysis. So let's first of all consider the trading decisions that you might have made on this particular chart if this was the analysis that you were focusing on. Okay, and so again, I've popped up some of these, and we can have VTLs as well. I think those are the only VTLs that we're interested in, so that's fine. Okay, now let me just stretch this. There we go. I hope that you can see these VTLs. I know with this background it's quite difficult to see. In fact, I might consider changing my background to white for these trader chats, so you can see these things a little more clearly. First thing that one should always do is, of course, I believe, look at the median FLDs. Those are the FLDs based on the median price. And, of course, when you're looking at FLDs based on the median price, it's useful to also plot the median price. There is the median price. Okay. Now, as we know, when median price crosses a median FLD, that provides us with evidence that a trough of that particular cycle has been formed. Okay. So if if we were watching this analysis, here is what would have happened. And let me, there we go, turn on the whiteboard. Okay, so as you can see on, well, between Monday and Tuesday of last week, with the median price, I can't really see where the weekends are anymore, but let's say early last week, the median price crossed up above the, what's that color? That's the 5-day FLD, okay, at this point over here. So that was early last week, providing us with evidence that a trough of at least 5-day magnitude had been formed. Okay, now we're trading the 40-day cycle. Hypothetically, I'm talking about trading the 40-day cycle in this particular chart. That's sort of the decision that I've made. So when would we want to enter a trade in the 40-day cycle? Well, you could wait until price crosses the 40-day FLD. The problem with that is that often then you'll be entering a trade very late. So therefore what you might want to do is take as evidence the fact that a trough of a shorter cycle has formed, and use that evidence to enter your trade. Okay, so let's have a look at the 40-day FLD and the 20-day FLD. Now, here is the 40-day FLD, which was crossed on, I think that was probably about Friday, so towards the end of the week. Median price crossed the median FLD. If you're making trading decisions on the basis of the median FLD, then you take delayed trading decisions. In other words, you wait until price crosses the FLD. After it has crossed the FLD, you make trading decisions for the next bar, which in this case would have been, and let me just flash up the candlesticks, and there we go. So there we go. You can see that price in fact crossed the 40-day FLD on the Thursday. So if you decided to take a delayed entry on the basis of price crossing over the 40-day FLD, then what you would do is you make a trading decision for the next day. Okay, I'm speaking this through very, very carefully because I think it's very important that you understand the trading decisions that are made, because they're not entirely black and white. So it's important that you understand all the subtleties. So let's take a look at this. On the Wednesday, you would have said if median price crosses above the median FLD, I would consider taking delayed trading action. As you can see, on the Thursday, price did cross up above that 40-day FLD, and I suspect that the median price crossed up above the FLD. In fact, I'll show you a very useful chart. I don't have to keep switching between candlesticks and median price. I can simply display what's called a Hurst chart. That's a very useful chart. It shows you the high and the low, and it has a crossbar at the median price, because the median price is very important. There we go. I don't have to keep switching between them. Okay, so as you can see, the median price on Thursday was above the median FLD. Okay, there it is on Thursday. So if you had decided in advance to take trading decisions based on price crossing that 40-day FLD, then you would have taken delayed action. What does that mean? That means that you would have created a trading entry order. And where do you create that trading entry order? Hurst recommended that you never place the entry order within the range of the previous day's move. So the previous day's move is presented here, of course, by this green bar. So we would not have created an entry order within that range. You would have created the entry order a few ticks beyond that range. Now, there's a perfect example here of why we do that. Very often, as you can see, I don't know how to show that to you, but you can see price bounced up ever so slightly higher on Friday than the previous day's high. So so it is strongly recommended that you place your entry orders above the high of the previous day. And how much above it? Well, when your market is at about 4,100, which it is at the moment, I would place it probably one full point. In other words, let's in fact read these levels to make this a complete discussion. I keep switching windows. There we go. Okay, the high the previous day was 4118.2. I would have definitely set it at least a full point above, which would take us to 4119.2. To be safe, I probably would have set it at about 4120. So we might have, in fact, been stopped into that. Yes, we would have just been stopped into that trade at 4121.4. Okay, so we would have just been stopped into that trade on the basis of that delayed entry. Which brings me to another very important point. When you're making trading decisions, and what I spoke about earlier today, when you're making trading decisions, you should not follow, I don't believe you should follow your trading decisions completely mechanically. You have to take a look at the situation. You were about to go into a long weekend, okay? You were about to go into a long weekend. There were going to be 3 days of no trading activity. And before a long weekend, I would be very cautious about entering into a trade on a Friday. I never enjoy entering a trade on a Friday before a long weekend. I think it's a really bad idea. So if you're going to take a delayed trading entry on the basis that price had crossed above that 40-day FLD, I would look at it, and you need to apply some sort of personal guidelines. And I would have a look at it, and the first thing I would say is, does this price cross of the 40-day FLD, does it definitely provide me with evidence that the 40-week cycle has formed? Okay, because remember, what we've been talking about all this time is that the 40-week cycle, okay, we're trading on the basis that the 40-week cycle has formed. I've shown you that this is a possible analysis. If you're making trading decisions on this chart, it's only a possible analysis, and so we need to look at what might be happening in the market. So the questions you should have been asking yourself if you were trading on the basis of the 40-day FLD were, first of all, if price crossed the 40-day FLD, that provides me with evidence only that a 40-day cycle has formed a trough. Okay? If I'm going to enter the trade, I only want to enter the trade if the 40-week cycle has formed in price. Okay? So, am I confident that if price crosses the 40-day cycle, am I confident enough in this analysis that the 40-week cycle has definitely formed as well? Personally, I think the answer to that is no. But if you were only looking at this chart, then you might have said, yes, because I'm expecting that 40-week cycle, if you were only looking at this chart. Okay? So let's assume that you were saying, yes, if price crosses the 40-day FLD, that gives me confirmation. I am confident that the 40-week cycle has formed. So therefore, I will take a delayed trading entry. Okay. The next thing you need to do is on Thursday night, when you perform your analysis, you realize that price has crossed above this FLD, only barely. I'd like to point out, only very barely, just got above that 40-day FLD. Some Hurst purists might tell you that a price cross is a price cross. I don't agree. If price squeezes over the 40-day FLD as it did on that Thursday, I would look at it with some skepticism, particularly if I'm about to go into a celebratory weekend because the Queen is having a birthday. I would look at it with some skepticism. I'd say, let me rather celebrate the Queen's birthday first and then come back and look at this with the cold eyes of post-Queen celebration and have a look at whether that price cross is really a genuine cross. I don't believe that all price crosses are equal. So I think when